Hi, hello. Today we are discussing about JWT presentation. So J stands for JSON, W stands for Web, T stands for Token. So it is a JSON Web Token presentation. So JSON Web Tokens are greatly helpful in login or authenticating or authorizations. So earlier we were facing the problems like login passwords are saved at DB, or login passwords are transmitted over the cookies or sessions, and in internet or some hacking chances were there whenever username passwords are transmitting over the HTTP or websites or mobiles. So login mechanism is one of the critical area, and which definitely need high security. So earlier we were facing all these kind of problems, like whenever password is transmitted over the web, then there is a chance of cookies would be taken care, would be stealing the passwords, or session would be stealing the passwords, or DB side we are physically saving the password. There is a chance of stealing the chances. All these problems are completely restricted at JSON Web Token level. So when we are using JSON Web Token, then all those kind of problems would be resolved. And this is a highly digitized security. And we when we are working this JWT token, then you will really feel that it is a highly security oriented, and it is a digitized oriented. And where we are using means normal websites we can use, or single sign on purpose we can use, or like in a single page applications we can use, or mobiles we can use. So in this how this password is protected means it is encrypted decrypted mode. So for that some algorithms would be used. That was the reason it is fully encrypted and decrypted. And password you cannot see anywhere, either in DB side or either in the front end side or middleware side. Anywhere you cannot see. Whenever user is logged in or registering or signing up, at that time that user only knows that password. End user only knows the password. In between, no development team knows about the password, or DB team knows about the password. Nowhere anybody knows about the password. Why? Because it is fully encrypted and decrypted mode. So what we are going to learn from this JWT means we need to learn how we can implement. Being a developer, how we are going to implement means we will see how it would be implemented. So before that, why we need JWT? So JWT we need because passwords should never stored or transmitted in any JWT token. And when we are exposing the passwords over the network, or when we are saving the passwords in DB, then that is a highly risk area. To avoid that situation, we must need to use JWT token. And the JWT purpose is, it is basically authenticating and authorization. Authenticating means simply we need to sign in. So when the user is signed in, then that is a authentication is done. And authorization means based on the certain role, like admin role, like employer role, or any kind of role. Some roles will be there. So user role or admin role or any other privileged roles, for that authorization should be given. So JWT is basically handling authentication and authorization. And how this password is handled means passwords are only used at login to authenticate user or authorization the user. After successful login, a JWT token is generated Once generated and shared, then that's all. Nowhere it would be used. After successful login, then that JW token would be sent to the front end, and once that front end is validated, then that's all. That JWT token purpose is finished. Then it would be allowed to access a dashboard or search page or any of the menu will be able to access. If we do not validated the JWT token, then other menus and all will not be accessed until and unless user is authorized and authenticated, then only JWT token would be valid. Once that is done, and all other menus would be able to access, but each menu access JWT token is alive until and unless you need to explicitly close that JWT token, or explicitly you need to kill that JWT token, then only that one time login will be over. Otherwise it would be validated each and every action, each and every menu. When you are going to click each and every menu, then internally or behind the scenes JWT token would be alive. When we are explaining like this, you may not be understanding, but when you are seeing hands-on, definitely I'll show you the hands-on. By seeing the hands-on, you will understand more than 100%. You will be able to understand. At this point of time you might not be understanding, but when we are doing hands-on, definitely you will be able to understand, and some more details we will be able to see how JWT. So here, if you are seeing what is JSON Web Token, so what is a JSON Web Token means using this authentication authorization, and how do JSON Web Tokens works. So JWT is an open standard RFC 7519, so that defines a compact and self-contained way for securely transmitting information between parties as a JSON object. So using this RFC algorithms, some algorithms are there. So to generate encrypted or decrypted, some algorithms will be there. So RFC 7519 or HS256 or HMAC algorithm or RSC algorithm or SHA256 algorithms. Based on this, encryption decryption would be done. And this information can be verified and trusted because it is digitally signed. Earlier also I have highlighted that JWT token is going to be digitally signed. So when it is digitally signed, it is greatly helpful for the mobile applications as well. So JWTs can be signed using a secret HMAC algorithm or a public private key pair using RSA and ECDSA algorithms. So some mechanism would be there. So that and all you will be able to see when you are practicing, when you are doing hands-on. JSON Web Token uses. So as I said, authorization purpose and information exchange purpose. Once the user is logged in, each subsequent request will include the JWT, allowing the user to access routes, services and resources that are permitted with the token. JSON Web Tokens are a good way of securely transmitting information between parties. And why should we use JSON Web Token? I already told. For security purpose, ease of accessing, and compact, self-contained. So securely transmitting information between parties, there is no doubt at all. So the information or login would be very highly secured, and ease of client-side processing of the JSON Web Token on multiple platforms, especially mobiles, and compact because of its size. It can be sent through an URL post parameters or inside HTTP headers. Additionally, due to its size, its transmission is fast. And self-contained, the payload is one of the area. It is very important. Only non-sensitive information would be presented in the payload. And how do JSON Web Tokens work? So this some kind of format would be there. There are three sections. One is a header, payload and sign. So that signature also need to validate. So three kind of variations will be there, three kind of parts basically. So header and payload and signature. So where is the password stored then? The password is hashed and securely stored in the database. I said it would be saved in the database, but it would be fully hashed and encrypted. Even a database developer itself cannot understand. That much level it would be encrypted, and it cannot be decrypted as well. Nobody can see the password at any stage until and unless user only knows, end user only knows. Then end user definitely must remember that password. Otherwise, if he forgets password, again he need to go for the reset and other formalities. Only end user must know the password. And once again I am telling, this JWT token will never have any kind of password, and it won't save. It would be saved in the DB, but nobody knows, and DB person also cannot know. So it is only used during login to verify the user. Once the user is verified, and that's all, he is able to access entire application. So one time login, and it would be able to access across all the applications. That is the main motive, and it is a highly secured and a digitized format. So summary, is password stored in JWT? No. Can I decode password from JWT? No. Should password be in JWT? No. What is in JWT? It is like a normal in non-sensitive data like user ID, email, roles, and password never ever transmitted over the network. So that is the reason JWT is very famous, and nowadays everyone is adopting to JWT because it is providing highly secured. And by this you may understand some theory kind of, but when you are practically doing only, you will be understanding. So that practical exposure also I will explain in this video itself. So conclusion. So JWT definitely having a reliable way to authenticate user is the first thing on the list, and using JWT authentication as an best authentication method. There is no doubt at all. So JWTs are basically used in mobile kind of applications, and like Angular kind of applications, Springboot microservice based applications, web based applications, or many other applications. JWTs are very famous, and once logged in, once JWT token is validated, and that's all, user is able to access all other subsequent applications. And whenever user is accessing all other menus, each and every menu again would be validated by the JWT token. So how it is validating and how it is functioning as a developer, how we are going to create a JWT token, that is our responsibility to learn, and we will see that part also in this video itself. So signature, to create the signature part, you have to take the encoded header, the encoded payload, and secret, the algorithm specified in the header, and sign. So basically this JWT token consisting of three parts. One is header part, another one is a payload, and third one is a signature. In header, what it would be there means type of the algorithm and a JWT token. So that one we are defining. Type is JWT, and kind of algorithms RSA or SHA or HMAC or any kind of algorithms you are mentioning. And payload, what would be there means like name, username, and username, or else some email or some non-sensitive information would be there. Password definitely it would be encrypted, decrypted format only. So this entire JWT token, like these three parts, like a header and consisting of header and payload and signature, nothing but a JWT token. So our main aim is to generate the JWT token. So that mechanism only we are learning in this concept. So user is basically what it will happen, user will request to the backend systems and it would be authentication server, it would be done. Then this authenticated server, what it would be done, if the user name and password is properly matching, then it will generate the JWT token. So JWT token, like microservices or Springboot API calls, it would be done. So based on the Spring token, like JWT token, it would be redirected to the front end team, and front end team will save that token, and each and every menu access it would be validated whether JWT token is validated or not. So based on the user role, that particular menus and all would be able to access. And JWT to verify the authenticity of a user. So definitely whether that particular user is having the authenticity, like user role or admin role or any other privileged roles. So what it will happen, user first signs into the authentication server using the authentication server's login system, like username, password and Facebook login. Once you are logging in mobile or website, then it will not ask frequently, and Google login also, Twitter also. These three things we can say like famously using as a JWT tokens. And so JWT token would be sending to the user level. When the user makes API calls to the application, the user passes the JWT along with the API call. So API request you are sending, and the JWT token will come in the JSON kind of response. So in this setup, the application server would be configured to verify that the incoming JWT are created by the authentication server. When the user makes API calls with the attached JWT, the application can use the JWT to verify that the API call is coming from an authenticated user or not. Then JWT token basics. So as I said, header, payload, signature, these are very important. So header would be having what kind of algorithm you are using, and payload would be having non-sensitive information like user ID, roles, email, etc. And signature, digitized signature. And why password is not included? As I said earlier, password never ever included at any level, either front end side or middleware or DB side. It would not be included. Even if it is saved in the DB, it would be encrypted, decrypted format. Even a DB developer also cannot figure out what kind of password that is. So that kind of full restriction would be there. So that was the reason, and this is the security best practices. Password should never be stored or transmitted in any JWT token, and exposing a password in a token would be huge security risk, especially since JWTs are stored in the browser. JWT purpose I already discussed. And password handling. Passwords are only used at a login to authenticate a user. After successful login, a JWT is generated and sent back. Once sent back, then that JWT purpose would be fulfilled. And the password is not at all needed anymore at any stage. That is how it would be. Now let us see about how we have implemented in JWT using Springboot, microservices, Postman, MongoDB, and front-end technologies are Angular. So let us see one by one. In this video, I am not going to implement entire mechanism. I am just explaining about the process and concept of the JWT. So JsonWebToken, how it works. So first we will see how it works in microservices. We will see, so that one we can say like backend. So how JWT works in backend, that we are going to test it. So this is my backend project, and let me start this project. So right click run as Springboot application. So it will start, and before it starts, okay, it will start. Let's quickly see. Yes, so Spring Boot is started, and starting under 8080 port. Okay, so front end will hit this backend application. So let's see how backend it works JWT. Then we will see how front end it will work. So now go to Postman. For invocation, we need to go to Postman. So before that, what are all the files we have given here? See, roles related erole.java, role.java, user.java, and controller. I have defined auth controller.java and test controller. So if you want to test controller whether it is this project is working fine or not, so basically we need to test simple test we can do API test and all. So this is a public content for just verification purpose. So this is the URL 8080 API test all. So go to Postman, and that is a get type. Okay, so we can see and take one URL. So here we can take API test, and what is this all. So whether it is working or not, we can see. So body, we are not going to send anything. See, public content means your test is passed. Now we need to test JWT token. For that we need to sign up. So what is there in sign up means, let's see here. So we need to sign up. Here username is there, email, password, and roles. Roles can anything. Roles I have taken as 3 roles. One is moderator role, administrator role, and user role. So for that you can see in this DB table. So these are the roles: role user, role moderator, role admin. And if you go to Spring, and you can also see roles: role user, moderator, admin. So this is how we are going to hit. Once we are hitting this information would be saved at the MongoDB. So here user need to remember the password, as I explained in the theory. End user. So end user must remember about this password. If he is forgetting again, he need to go for the reset password. And this password never ever transmitted any of the network. So this would be encrypted. Even a DB developer also cannot see what kind of password it is. So that is the thing. So JWT is providing that kind of feature. So here we need to remember. See, Srinivas I am giving, and I am giving password as a Srinivas @123. This is the password. You need to remember this password, Srinivas @123. For easy remembering, I am taking this one, and this role can be anything. I am taking user kind of role. I would be the user. So if I am hitting, this has to hit our backend system, and it would be saved in the DB. So I am hitting this one, sign up. So this is the URL, API auth sign up. If you go to here, controller sign up URL, and that is a post mechanism. So here it would be there. This is a sign in, and this is the sign up. So here sign up, post mapping sign up, and URL would be API auth sign up. So I am also using API auth sign up, and using this API we are going to save the information. So we will see this explanation later. During the implementation we will understand. Now we need to understand only the concept. So how it will work. So here we can see sign up URL, and I have taken the sign up URL and I prepared this one. So I am going to hit. Now you can see whether your server is taking or not. Logs I am removing. Now hit the URL. Yes, we got 400 bad request. That means the email is already in use. So you need to change the email. So email also I am giving Srinivas@gmail.com. So user registered successfully. Now you go to MongoDB whether user registered successfully or not. So you can refresh. If it is not appearing, you can refresh. See, it is appearing Srinivas@gmail.com, and password is encrypted. Here password is encrypted, isn't it? So this is how. And DB developer also cannot see. Other non-sensitive information user can see. DB developer also can see, but password nobody can see. Here this one no one can encrypt or decrypt. That is how beautifully designed. So no one can see. Even in online also, if you want to try, you can give a try, but no one can break this password. So this end user only need to remember. So end user, as an end user I have given Srinivas@123 is the password. So like this we are giving. So now it is registration is successful. Now we need to verify whether it is working fine or not. So go to sign in URL. So here sign in URL, and sign in URL, what we have to take Srinivas. Username is Srinivas and password is Srinivas123. And here in headers nothing you need to give. As of now, bearer token and all in a sign in you don't require to give. So now after sign in, what I will get means response successfully login, it will come. Again it will give the JWT token. Using that token only other APIs you are going to access. That is how we are getting. So we are logging in and we will get the response as the JWT token. That one only we are going to use for accessing other modules. And I am going to hit. So sign in, same API auth sign in. So go here, API auth sign in will be there. This is the child URL and this is the root URL, API auth sign in, and username password it would be available. So you can see get username password. Now I am quickly testing this one, Srinivas@123. So now 200 OK success. Now if you can see, we will get the token type is a bearer and we got this token. This token only we are going to access. Everywhere for accessing other modules, this token only we need to access it. Okay, so this is what we have done. So other things. So now other things we will get along with JWT token, user and email and username and ID. So JWT token we got it. That means the user is successfully logged in. So based on this JWT token only, we are going to access other modules. So let us see one other API how it works. So this is the API I have taken and I am going to keep it at here. So user we are going to test it, and bearer token. So here bearer token is this one and this is a get type. So user, so user, where is that user? This is the user, and for convenience small code only I kept, but in real time imagine like a huge code will be there. This is another API we are going to test. So for this testing we need this bearer token. We have to keep it here, then only it will work. Get and body, no need to send anything. So apart from this URL nothing. And see, whether you are getting 200 success. So it is success. Suppose you modify this token, definitely you will not get 401 error, it will come. So this is the 401. So this is how backend JWT will work. So what we have done, first we have done registration. Once that user is registered successfully, it would be saved in the DB. It is saved. Okay, it is in a decrypted format. After that we need to sign in. Then once we sign in, then we will get the JWT token. Based on that JWT token only, we are going to access other modules. So this is how it will work. Now we can see in front end how it will works in a front end. Let us open Visual Studio, and in Angular application, how we are going to access this Srinivas application, how we are going to access. So we will see, we are opening Visual Studio Angular code. So my code is available in example 10. This is the code. Okay, so here if you are seeing this authentication service TS, and this is the URL I am going to send, 8080 API auth. This is the URL we got it from the backend. So if you can see auth URL, so that URL only, see, this is the auth URL, and cross origin we are defining. So we need to hit from the front end, means we need to use a cross origin. So API auth, this is the URL, we got it. So that is the reason we defined API auth. After that other things and all, it will be defined. Now go to cmd prompt and run the application. So cd example 10 and ng serve. So it will start the application. Now we have verified JWT token using backend. Now we need to verify from the front end. So once we verify from the front end, then you will easily understand how JWT token works from the front end and how JWT token works from the backend. That is how we are going to do. So that till now you understood from the backend. Now front end part you are going to understand. It is taking little time. And go to the browser, it will automatically open, but if it is not opening, you can go to the browser. It is like, yes, you can see this is how the page is designed and a login page. So if you are entering username password, you will be verified. For accessing other modules, you need to enter the JWT token. So that one you need to keep it in. Now let us see this one here. You can remove and you can take whatever JWT token. You can copy, you can paste it here. It will decode, and as I said, the first part is HS256, what kind of bearer token, and here Srinivas, non-sensitive information only. You cannot see anywhere DB password. Even if you are trying to encrypt also, non-sensitive information it will come. So this is one URL, JWT IO. You can go here, you can verify, you will be able to understand the body of the structure JWT. So this is a header part, this is a payload, this is a signature kind of. And here also you can test. This is another URL, give here, and here also you will be seeing Srinivas, and this is the structure, and HS256 algorithm we have used, and this is that header, this is the payload it has given, and signature would be verified. And this is also another URL, here also you can paste and verify, you will get it, Srinivas, non-sensitive information only. So even if you are trying to encrypt, he will get only non-sensitive information, and password and all you will not get it. That is how system has been designed, JWT has been designed. Nobody can see the password, that is the thing. Even a DB developer also cannot see the password. If he can see only the encrypted format, he cannot see the format. So here encrypted, decrypted format only it was there. Even a DB developer also cannot see, end user only can see. That is how JWT works. So JSON Web Token works. Using this, many things we can use. Many places like Twitter and Instagram and other Google logins and all using based on the JWT token. So if we are adopting this one, we can easily work in microservices. We can also work in the Angular kind of applications. So this is how we logged in from the front end, and earlier explained that the back end. So if you can understand back end, if you can understand front end, how we are using JWT, so this is how you will be able to understand completely. This is a bit lengthy video, but you need to understand. So that is how we are doing. Okay, and you need to understand the theory, you need to understand the process. Now I have explained only the process. I did not do the coding, I did not show the coding of the Angular side, and I did not show the code of the backend side. Okay, so front end we have given, and some alerts I have taken while logging in. I have given the alerts, and that was the reason alerts were showing. So here this one is the auth URL, and if you can go auth.guard.ts, you will be able to see this is how coding it would be there. And login components and logout. Okay, and here how we are implementing app routing, you can see. And here based on the activate auth guard, so dashboard would be restricted, and home also can activate, home also restricted while logging in without any JWT token. So JWT token once we are getting, we will be doing. So login component, you will be able to see the token. So here using the local storage of the token, access token. So access token only you will be getting after logged in. So if you can see the console, you will be able to see the access token, Srinivas and Srinivas @123. And if you can see, it is done.